What's up, guys? Welcome to a new day. I'm Stephanie Ryder, and this is the 365 Shares podcast. It's February 8th, 2024, and today's topic is humor. The Big Red Book says we often lost our creativity, our flexibility, and our sense of humor. I love comedy, and it's sort of an open secret with comedians that a lot of them are very depressed. They had difficult childhoods, and they use humor as a way to keep themselves sane, to get people to like them or love them, and to make light of the things that are painful in their lives. The Strengthening My Recovery book says the last thing some people think about when they think of ACA and recovery is humor, because it just feels like such a heavy thing to do. And I think a lot of people who haven't been are deterred by the thought that they're going to go in and just feel horrible the whole time and then come out of it feeling horrible. But really, there is a lot of joy and humor in it. We end all of our meetings by handing out toys, and for the most part, they're dog toys or like little kids' toys, and they're squeaky or they make noise. They're like little keyboards or rattles or whistles. And we go around to read the promises at the end, and we read number 7 together, which is we learn to play and have fun in our lives. And it just really ends the meeting on such a happy note. You're holding something silly like a kid's toy or a dog toy. Everyone's squeaking it every time we read one of the promises. And then we all get to join in and sort of yell, play, and have fun out together. And it just really brings the meeting from something that started out very somber, something that may have been heavy throughout, depending on what people are sharing and what the topics are, to something that's just really joyful. So by the time you walk out of there, not only have you processed something painful and you've learned something new, and maybe you've learned something more about your fellow travelers, you close it out by being happy, by smiling, by interacting with people, by making eye contact, by being silly. And it just makes the whole process really enjoyable, I think. So often I go in, we say our name and a feeling description in the beginning, and people will say, I'm Steph and I'm feeling sad, or I'm Steph and I'm feeling anxious, or I'm Steph and I'm feeling overwhelmed. And then by the end of it, you just don't feel that same sense of sadness. You feel a little bit of joy. And maybe the thing that was bothering you is still weighing on you. A lot of these problems are deep-seated problems. They're ongoing family problems. You're still going to be dealing with them. But just in that moment, you've kind of rewarded yourself for showing up and doing something hard. I'm Steph, and this is my share. The affirmation for today is, on this day, I will keep my heart open to the things that make me laugh. Laughter brings me joy and makes everything better. Life is good. There's an interesting line in the passage in the Strengthening My Recovery book. It says, many times laughter erupts when certain things are said. That laughter isn't meant to poke fun. It's recognition of a shared experience that unites us. Fellow travelers understand what we're talking about. I've had this experience a couple times. I went to a Wednesday meeting a while back, probably last summer, and I rarely go to the Wednesday meetings, but I went to the Monday meeting. I felt really good about it. And then on Tuesday, I was like driving around feeling really good about myself. And then I got into a fender bender. What happened was it was sunset, and the road I was driving on was an east-west road, and the sun was setting directly behind me. So it was really impacting my ability to see what was behind me, but also what was in front of me. And the light had turned red, but it was really difficult to see it until you got closer to it because of the glare. And so I slammed on my brakes, and someone hit me from behind. And I felt like if I had been driving slower to account for the fact that the sun was in my eyes, then I probably wouldn't have had to slam on my brakes so hard. And the person who hit me also said the same thing. They just didn't see the light until they got there. But maybe they would have seen my taillights if I had started slowing down a lot earlier. So I just really felt responsible for it. And I was just in this shame spiral. I was like, man, I should have started slowing down so much earlier. I should have, maybe just pulled over if I knew that the visibility was bad. What was I even doing on the road? I could have taken a different route. So I decided to take myself to a meeting, and I don't normally go to the Wednesday meetings. I had just been to a Monday meeting, but I was like, you know what? I need an extra meeting. And it ended up being a share meeting where the format of our Monday meetings are all book studies. So we always pick a topic, we read the passages in the book that relate to that topic, and then people share. But our Wednesday meeting, every 5th meeting, they have a speaker share meeting. So someone will speak for maybe half an hour and kind of go through their life story, their childhood, what was dysfunctional about it, how it carried into their young teenage and adult life, what kind of acting out behaviors they had, what problems that they had caused, a little bit about their rock bottom, their journey into ACA. and just sort of this end-to-end story of like where they started and where they are now. And the speaker did a great job of taking accountability for some really uncomfortable things that he had done as coping mechanisms in his life that he was in recovery for. And I thought it was just really honest and really brave to share that kind of stuff. And it was someone who just seemed, so nice and mild-mannered, and nothing that he said was such a crazy revelation, but just very honest, like very uncomfortable stuff that normally people wouldn't want to share about themselves. And then after his speaker share, we had an opportunity in the room to go around and share of our own, and a little bit to comment on what he said, which is sort of a departure from the normal. Like normally we don't crosstalk and we don't respond to people's shares, but it's an opportunity to say, thank you for sharing, and this is what resonated with me. I decided to share, and I opened with, I have road rage. And someone in the room did that laugh that's like, ha! And that really told me that it was someone else. It was a woman, another woman. So it just told me that that was someone that also has experienced that. And I've had another experience with that similar type of laughter where I told a story about a conversation I had with my brother where he was being really judgmental of a friend's lifestyle. My brother is religious. He's married. He has kids. We were hanging out with one of his friends who had a really type A childhood, like tiger mom childhood, and had a midlife crisis pretty young and just decided to like retire on a bunch of money he'd invested and live a very frugal, simple lifestyle because he didn't want any stress in his life. He didn't want to have another breakdown. And he's a very kind person. He has a dog. He loves his parents. He has friends, meditates every day. But this really rubbed my brother the wrong way. And the amount to which he was upset about it really surprised me. I think it was a little bit of the Ferris Bueller's Day Off situation where Jeannie's really mad that Ferris is getting away with everything. And Charlie Sheen's character is like, why don't you just cut school? And she's like, I would get caught. And he's like, so? And it really just kind of changes her attitude on everything from being mad about things other people are doing that you want to do to just going out and doing those things yourself. So anyway, my very responsible family man brother was really upset that someone had the audacity to just live a chill lifestyle and not leave a heavy footprint on the world. And I said, I get it. Your lives are very different, but do you really think that your choices are more right than his choices? And in my mind, that's a rhetorical question because the answer is no, of course, we all make our own choices. We're all on our own paths. But my brother's response was, yes. And I was like so shocked. And I told that story in a meeting after it happened. And I got that same kind of laugh from people who just knew the type of person that I was dealing with, who knew that mentality of my way is right and your way is wrong, the very black and white thinking that is a hallmark of adult children. And it was nice to hear. I mean, in both situations, those I think were really involuntary laughs, that kind of you're laughing because you're surprised and it's more of a ha type of laugh. But it was nice for me because it made me feel less alone. When I said that I had road rage and someone else laughed, I thought, oh, okay, well, this is someone else who's dealt with road rage and this thing that I'm so ashamed of myself for trying to get somewhere quickly instead of being so safe. It just made me feel less shameful to know that it was a problem that other people were dealing with. Even though I know that I didn't invent road rage, I know that there's other people out there, but to hear someone in recovery who has either struggled with that or still struggles with that really made me feel less alone. And to hear someone laugh like, oh, I've totally had those conversations with people before where you think it's obvious that they should just live and let live, but they can't seem to get their head around that. And in fact, they don't think that's correct at all. So I think humor can be really helpful in ACA and just in general. I had a boss who used to say, the most serious things are said in jest. And I think that makes a lot of sense. We try to, if we're kind, we try to couch criticism in a little bit of humor, and ideally in a way that tells people that we're laughing about it together, not that we're just poking fun at them. If you think about roasts, comedy roasts, they're funny. They're funny because they're outlandish, but they're also funny because there's a grain of truth in them. There's something funny about caricaturing someone, the way they look, the way they talk, the way they dress, the type of roles that they've taken on. Anything about them that you can kind of pick apart. And sometimes it's just completely silly, but it's just funny. And usually the people really appreciate it because there's a sense that to write a really good roast, you have to know the person and you have to have been paying attention to the person. And ideally you're up there because you love and respect them and you're just participating in the process. But I think it can be a great way to bring some self-awareness to the situation, to people, to yourself. And we can even poke fun at ourselves and say, like, we can make jokes about things that we made mistakes about. Like, oh, that was so on brand for me. Of course, Of course I had an anxious attachment style, or of course I was late, or of course I'm the one who lost my temper for no reason, like, haha. But I don't know. I think this is a cool topic. I think humor is important. It's nice for me every time there's a topic in the Strengthening My Recovery book that's a little bit lighter, because I don't have the energy every day to get into my deepest, darkest drama. Sometimes it's nice to